In learning how to do dimensional analysis, it's all about conversion factors. Conversion factors are around you in your everyday life, everywhere. So, for example, we see $785 per ounce. That's from 2008. If we were to go look that up, we would see that it's somewhere over $1,500 per ounce, maybe even higher, depending on the day lately. When we want to look at that as a conversion factor, we need to write it as $785 for 1 ounce of gold. So it's all about writing them as fractions. Conversion factors are fractions. If we look at time, we can think about the idea that in 1 hour there are 60 minutes, or in 1 minute there are 60 seconds. We can think about that in 1 dozen there are 12 eggs. Okay, or on when we think about food, we can look and think about, in this case it's showing us ounces per gram, or we could talk about calories per 1 serving. You know, maybe this has 280 calories for 1 serving. Same thing here, and we can even see here that it's showing us a fluid ounces per mil. We can look at these rulers side by side, okay, and we can maybe start to come to an understanding, for example, that when we talk about 1 inch, if we draw a line up, we could maybe buy into the idea that 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. And that's a conversion factor. When we want to use it as a conversion factor, we write it as a fraction. The most important things to do is to process how to use metric conversions in conversion factors. And in that case, if you think about the chart that you've already learned, we can look at the meaning of these numbers, of these letters. So K, kilo, 1,000, 100, 10. We have our base units, and then we have 0.1, 0.01, and 0.001. So if we want to figure out how to use this, what we say is that if something is to the left, it is larger than something that is to the right. So a kilometer, for example, is to the left, and a meter would sit in the middle here to the right. The kilometer is larger. We give it a value of 1. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, because we can see that it's 1, 2, 3 places away. If we want a second example, we can look at another one, and I would say we could talk about, say, looking at maybe a centimeter in comparison to, say, a decameter. So we have DA and we have C, so DAM if we were talking about decameters, and CM if we were talking about centimeters. And we see that deca is to the left. So the left one is larger and gets a value of 1. So that means it's going to take 1, 2, 3. It's going to take 1,000 centimeters to make up 1 decameter. We want to go back to our metric slide, and we can see that milli and centi are right by each other, and that centi is less than milli. Conversion factors is, in solving a problem, we look at what the problem gives us. So in this case, we see that we have an inchworm, and it's traveling 15 millimeters in 12 minutes. It's traveling 15 millimeters in 12 minutes, okay? And it's asking us to go to inches per hour. So we can see that millimeters needs to be converted to inches, and minutes is going to need to be converted to hours. So we're going to start with the millimeters, and we're going to say times fraction. We're going to get rid of millimeters, and we're going to work our way towards inches. And if we look at some of the given conversion factors that we have, we look for one that involves millimeters, and we can see that we've been given one that takes us from millimeters to meters. Now, I would say we don't really want to go that far because we're looking to go to inches. So we really want to go from millimeters to centimeters first, and then we can go times fraction, and we can go from centimeters to inches. So this 2.54 centimeters to 1 inch is going to get us to inches, because the centimeters will cancel with the centimeters. So what we need to know is how do I get from centimeters to meters? And we're going to see that we have then left is larger, so centimeters gets a value of 1, millimeters gets a value of 10. That will be our conversion factor. So we have millimeters gone, centimeters gone, we're at inches, and now we want to go from minutes to an hour. And since minutes is on the bottom, we need minutes to be on the top in order for that to cancel. And we know that in 1 hour there are 60 minutes. So at this point, I'm left with inches per hour, and it's just a matter of going and using my calculator to finish the problem, right? I would end up saying 15 divided by 12, hit enter, divide that by 10, hit enter, divide that by 2.54, hit enter, multiply by 60, and you will have your answer. Might help us out, and we can see that we have 1,000 meters to a kilometer. We see we have 1.61 kilometers to a mile. So we'll probably find that we have a conversion factor here, 1.61 kilometers per 1 mile. In learning how to do dimensional analysis, it's all about learning how to deal with conversion factors. So here we have 55 miles in 1 hour, and we're trying to go from miles to meters and hours to seconds. So we're going to start by getting rid of miles, and we might need to go look up a conversion factor. 1.61 kilometers per 1 mile. So that gets rid of miles. Now we want to get rid of kilometers, and we're trying to go to meters, and we remind ourselves of our little metrics chart. And in this case, we're trying to go from kilometers to meters. So we say the left is larger and gets a value of 1, and meters in this case would be 1, 2, 3 places away, so it's 1,000. Kilometers cancels, I'm left with meters. Now I want to deal with time. So I want to now focus on this hour. Hours down there, I need hour to go up on the top. And in this case, I'm going to go from hours to minutes. I'm going to do this in 2 steps because I know that in 1 hour there are 60 minutes. If you run out of room, you can just simply arrow times fraction. Envision that the hours is canceled. I want to get rid of minutes, which is in the denominator. Minutes goes up. I'm trying to go to seconds. And I know that in 1 minute there's 60 seconds. So now I'm left with seconds. My minutes cancel. And I'm left with now meters per second. And it's just a matter of punching it into my calculator and thinking about sig figs. And thinking about sig figs, I would focus on the fact that there are 2 sig figs here, so I should have 2 sig figs in my answer.